The metamorphosis to a child. I like Freud's work on the superego. Basically, the superego is what regulates conduct, values, and morality in a human being. The superego is derived from society and the teachings from our parents. It serves to regulate order in the world. It's the total opposite from the id. The id is self-indulgent. It's all about me and what I want and desire. To hell with everybody. The id is unreasonable and greedy. The id is undesirable, repressed, and often unconscious. The middle between the superego and the id is the ego. It decides what the right course of action for the individual to take. The ego gathers data from the superego and the id and finds a compromise. What manifests in the world is the ego. This information is useful because we all have a superego, id, and ego. Having a superego that is in line with society standards helps us navigate the world, for it enables us to practice empathy with one another. A superego makes us decent with one another, and it is how we foster relationships with one another. However, it can also become a prison, locking you to the opinions of others. This is dangerous because you might lose your identity, attempting to please the people in your life. Regardless, the superego is what is needed to navigate the world successfully, for it enables you to understand society and the world all around. Without the superego, you run the risk of becoming detached. This is risky because by nature, man is a social creature. He needs social connections to help find a mate and acquaintances who will help him in all spheres of life. Having a superego that is morally aligned gives one factory settings in life. The problem with the superego is that it fosters a collective mindset. It fails to account for the individual. It keeps an individual at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid of needs. It hinders the process of self-actualization. To actualize, you need the id to stand up and say no. The no must be backed up with reason and evidence. This no has to keep the customs of the world in mind. It has to account for the superego and still rebel. This rebellious spirit is what will enable the individual to create his own path. This no must be akin to a lion's roar. It must be prideful, affirmed, grounded, and strong. In doing so, the individual will become a lion. A lion is something we must all aspire to become because it fully asserts its will. A lion is the king of its life. It operates in the world with its conditions. The lion is a big step to self-actualization. The lion fosters in self-identity in the individual. The lion makes the individual confident in his abilities. The lion has a swagger about its walk. It has ingrained qualities that are immovable. It is assured and lives life on its own terms. Activating the lion in you requires that you only say no and mean it. It requires that you live your no, and it requires that you rid yourself of fears and other people's opinions and judgments. It requires you to live life for yourself. Choosing to say no unlocks a yes for your mode of existence. This means yes to your passions, yes to your dreams and goals, yes to everything you want to be. Saying no to your superego gives the leverage to your id. It gives your id expression and fulfillment. It gives you an opportunity to be self-indulgent, an opportunity to know and master your true self. It gives you an open canvas to do as you please. Life is the accumulation of different stages. The lion stage, or the exploration of the id, must come after the superego has been mastered. This enables sustainable development towards the journey of self-realization. The natural progression of the lion phase activates the last metamorphosis in the journey towards self-actualization. That is the one of the child. The child represents seeing for the first time. It represents the process of creation and novelty. It represents a genuine wonder at the world. To a child's mind eye, everything is possible. This is the spirit that propels the individual towards the journey of self-actualization and realization. It is the spirit of creation. The natural tendency for the man is to create, hence human being entailing presence and becoming more than we are. Being is exerting yourself to the world. Being is striving to be more. Being is an action. It is consciousness. And at a fundamental level, it is creation itself. We lose this essence in the modern world because we get indoctrinated to man-made systems and adhere to conventional wisdom. In doing so, we get identified to our superego. And as we identified more with the superego, we suppress the id, scaling the power to the superego, enabling the ego to assume the dominant personality of the superego. We are taught and programmed to lose ourselves, to abandon our individuality. The modern world teaches us to regress. To find the childlike spirit in your soul, you have to find your passions again. To connect with them, you have to follow what makes your eyes glisten, what makes them shine. You need to adapt your own values and have a deep appreciation for life. You need to live with constant gratitude for life. You need to sway away from the majority and their customs. You need to look at the world with novelty, bewilderment, and awe. You need to find yourself again. The spirit of the child is what makes life worthwhile. It is positive energy and calibrates at a high vibration frequency. It is self-sustaining. It enriches your spirit. The spirit of the child is the only way to self-actualize. Find your inner child voice and let it consume everything you do. This will keep you young, nourish your soul, and will give your life meaning. Your true self is the inner child.